Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to my course on Productization 101, how to increase your profit margins by 20 to 50% if you are an agency or consultancy owner. All right, y'all. So if you've been following along, we talked about how we can, or I just gave you an overview of what productization is, what I like to call scaling up your services. If you haven't seen that yet, check it out. This video right here. And then after that, I went over what are the four levels um, of productization or scaled up services. And if you haven't seen that, you can check that with this video right here. And so let's get back to it. So today, what we're actually going to go over is I'm actually going to give you a workshop that you can take back to your company. It's about an hour long workshop that you can work with them on to come up with a handful of ideas of things that you can do and start acting on with your business. So let me just share my screen and show the chicken scratch from the last video. So let's get this going. All right. So you can see this was our little image from the last video. And like I said, this is likely where you are. Let me make sure that I can, right? So this is where you are, right? And these are the types of services that I said that I specialize in helping in is helping you come up with a product as a service. These are typically, you know, platforms and things that you have to put together, different softwares and stuff like that. But there's some steps in between that, right? With these systemized services and products. And so this is what I'm going to focus on right now today. I'm going to give you a workshop that you can take with your team and actually start working on coming up with different ways that you can systemize your current services, as well as what are some products that you might have already created or might have already come up with to actually start selling and make it available to your customers. So how does this workshop work? So this is about an hour long workshop. So it's 1 hour, and you just need about 3 to 8 participants for this. I will recommend having participants, if I can spell, type of participants that I would recommend. So you would probably need a key decision maker. It's not like this is actually one of those meetings where you don't need like a decider, but you want to actually progress on the things that you come up with out of this workshop. So you probably want someone like the CEO or uh, probably want someone like the CEO or founder in there. Okay. You might want some people from marketing or sales because they'll be the ones who are actually figuring out how to actually market and sell whatever you come up with out of there. You probably want some operations people because they might have some good ideas of how things have been operationalized. And then you want some people who've got their feet on the ground, who's been doing the work with the client. So client facing practitioners. Practice practitioners. There we go. All right. So those are the key people that you want on there. Don't worry. This isn't one of those ones where I'm going to keep drawing on this thing all day. But now I'm going to share with you a workshop format that I put together that you can actually utilize to get this group of people together and come up with some solutions that you can actually start putting into practice. So without further ado, let me share with you the what I call Triple S workshop, the Scaled Services Solutions workshop. All right. And so I have this here, and if you want this actual template to use yourself, There's a link below that you can click to get the download of this actual mural workshop. All right. So here's what it is. So here we already got we got some information giving you a quick introduction about the workshop. We also have a little warm up area if you're not familiar with Miro, showing you how to use it, all that good stuff, get you onboarded. But here's how the actual workshop works. So step 0 is all about aligning everybody to the goal. So the goal that we have here in the Triple S workshop is how can we scale our offerings? That's the main thing that we're trying to solve. So we want to figure out, we want to align on that goal. And then we're going to put that up here, which is already here, but you can change the goal around, maybe make it a little bit tighter to your business. But we're going to spend the first bit of time brainstorming. So we're actually going to go to step 1, where we're going to start on a positive note. Okay. And then I want you to think of the positive elements within your business that is actually helping you with scaling. Some things that you might have already been doing, like, for instance, any clear documentation that you've put together, any SOPs, any things like that, that might already be some things that you're putting in place that could be some good ways that are helping you figure out and scale. What you're going to do is you're going to actually add a bunch of green stickies that represent what's helping you do that. This is like the sailboat analogy. What's the wind? What's the stuff that's helping you, right? Then next, we're going to capture the problems. What are the things that are holding us back from being able to scale? And you want to come up with as many of these as you can. Also, I want to note that each of these things are time boxed. So the first one is about 5 minutes, then another 5 minutes to capture those problems. And you're going to bring those sticky notes down here. Next, we're going to actually go through and prioritize the problems. So each person who's participating in the workshop will have 3 red voting dots. So, what you're going to do is everyone needs to go through and read all of the different sticky notes that we have here. If you see any duplicates, try to group those together. So, for instance, if you see a couple that are pretty similar, then what you can do is actually take them and stack them so that they can represent one idea. And then you're going to have these dots that you can vote on the different ideas. And so that's what you'll do to figure out what are the top challenges. And you want to mainly vote down here on the challenges at this point. So that'll be done in silence, without any discussion, about 5 minutes again. Oh, sorry. In silence without any discussion, that's 3 minutes, not 5 minutes. And then the moderator actually needs to take the top 3 voted problems and actually take them from that sailboat exercise and pull them over here. So you take these top voted problems, and what you want to do is reframe those challenges as what we call how might we statements. The reason why we use how might we statements is because it's framed in a way that opens us up to come up with a bunch of solutions. So the how shows that there are ways to go about solving the problem, right? Might is is that we're gonna well, actually, let me rewind. How puts us in a framework that we can think creatively, and then we can come up with solutions, that there are answers out there. Might means that there might be multiple options out there that we can choose from. So what are the multiple solutions? And we implies that we're going to work together and come and actually solve these solutions together. So, what you want to do is actually change those problems into how might we statements, and try to come up with a few different ways of saying each of those problems with how might we statements before you actually commit to one for each of those rounds. This should take about 3 minutes to figure that out. And then once you have your how might we's, now it's time for the fun part where we're ideating and coming up with a ton of solutions. So as you're doing this, one tip is to think of the level of effort and high impact. Also, another tip, and actually I'm going to provide this as a prompt in here, but one way to think about solutions are Well, oftentimes what you do in the agency and consulting world is it's a one-to-one scenario, right? It's your company working with one client to help them with the scenario. Also think about what it will look like with a one to a group, also a one to many. So what solutions might look like in a one to group or one to many type of aspect. Also, a lot of the work that we end up doing in the agency and consultancy space is it's done for you work, right? Or done with you work. Well, think about what it might look like if it was maybe some DIY work where the client is actually doing the work themselves. This opens it up for customers that might not be able to afford your premium or custom services, right? What are some ways that they might be able to do take some of the tools that you've created to do it themselves? And so those are some things, some prompts to help you kind of brainstorm. Even thinking about like what would someone who has a super high budget be able to afford, and what would someone that maybe has a very low budget be able to afford that you can do that you can provide for them and do it at scale. And what you're going to do is you're going to brainstorm a ton of solutions for the different how might we questions that you came up with. This also reminds me that down here, each participant has their own little work area that they can use if they would like, if they want to be able to work quietly on their own. Um, this is just to give a different space for them to be able to put their answers. So, for instance, for that first activity where you came up with the things that's moving us toward our goal, they can use this space. For the things that are blocking us, they can use this space. And for coming up with all the possible solutions to the challenges, they can use this space. So, this is very optional. This is somewhere where you can work on your own and then pull your stickies up to the various boards. So, once we've come up with all these solutions for all these how might we's, then what we're going to do is actually vote with 6 of the red voting dots that we have down here. And you want to, as you're voting, you want to think about what's going to give us the highest level of impact and going to take the least amount of effort. All right. So think about that as you're actually going through and voting on the different solution ideas. Now it's time to start narrowing down. So we start narrowing down a little bit. And at this point, we should have a top 10 of different solutions that we've looked at over here, right? And we're going to take that top 6 to 10 solutions and we're going to pull them over here to this ranking board. So we'll actually replace these with the actual um with the actual solutions that you came up with. And now each participant needs to pick a row or pick a column that they're going to be working in. And what they need to do is actually rank each of these solutions on a scale from 1 to how many solutions there are, with the highest number meaning the most impactful. So we're going to rank it based off of the level of impact. So, say we have 10 different options here. So we'll say, like, okay, this one I think is going to be the most impactful. This one I think is the least impactful out of these. This one I'm going to give it a 3. This one I'm going to give a 4. This one I'm going to give 8. That's pretty much up there. This one's going to be 9. I'm going to do 7 here. I'm just doing random numbers clearly because there's no solutions in here. Let me see what's left. We're going to do 6, 5, and 2. All right. And each participant is going to go through, they have about 5 minutes to go through and add their ranks for each of these columns. And as a moderator, when they're working on the next activity, you can actually add these rows up and pull together the sum for each of these solutions. Because in the next activity, they're going to do the exact same thing, but they're going to rank it based on the level of effort. Same thing, the highest number means the most effort involved. And they're going to put those ranks in there, and the moderator will go ahead and add them up to come up with their sums. Now, this helps us. The reason why we do these ranking activities is because it helps us tremendously when figuring out what activities we want to actually do, which is going to be in the next step. where we actually pull these items together into an effort and impact matrix. So the moderator just needs to take a few minutes. This should just take about 5 minutes for them to go through. And they're just going to pull over those sticky notes. So say that this, after we looked at the sums of these items, after we looked at the sum of all these items, this one is ranked a 10 for effort or for impact, but it's ranked a 1 for impact. So we're going to take this and it's going to get dropped here, right? So it's a 1 for effort and a 10 for impact. Then we're just going to continue doing that with all 10 of the different solutions that we have in here. And then what we'll have is a sweet spot where we have a bunch of high impact solutions or high impact items that you can create that are low effort for you to go ahead and start putting into action. And what we're going to do is take those top ones and pull them over here to create an action plan. And now the goal is to come up with 3 action steps that you can go to push these ideas forward. Ideally, the action steps should be things that you can do within the next 2 weeks or so, ideally. And that's it. That's the workshop. So, this is a quick and easy, structured way to take a lot of the things that you're doing well and not and maybe challenges for you to turn into solutions that you can implement and start productizing your business quickly and efficiently. All right. Now, if you, like I said, if you want to get the board for this, you can click the link below, and a you'll be able to get the template for this workshop. So you'll get this entire thing for you to be able to work through it on your own with your team. I hope this is helpful. In the next module, I'll be talking about how, like I mentioned before, my sweet spot is helping you with products as a service. So, in the next module, I'll talk about my overall strategy of how I help you go from learning about your customer to actually implementing some products and coming up with your productization or scale up portfolio of products. And so, I'll talk about that in the next module. But in the meantime, I hope you find this helpful. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know that this was helpful for you, I guess. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.